everybody. Welcome to another episode of Anything and Everything with Donna Lisa. I'm your host, Donna Lisa, and today's special guest, I'm very, very excited to have her on the show. She is currently owner and operator of 7 Massage Envy locations here in the Las Vegas Valley. Got her start in the pharmaceutical industry. And before I actually give her story away, she's a mom, she's a wife. I just want to go ahead and introduce Marissa Hawkins to the show. Hi, Marissa. Welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. I'm so excited for this. I was waiting all week to have you on the show just because I think we have a lot to talk about. You have an extensive background in business, entrepreneurship, and the fact that you're a working mom just kind of amazes me as how you've grown your business here in Las Vegas. Can I just start off with saying that Massage Envy is one of my favorite places to go?
Absolutely say that all day long. Yes.
You guys always make me feel so much better at the end of my session. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. It's an honor to know that we are helping thousands of people on a daily basis and really, making an impact in their lives, both physically and emotionally.
Especially right now. I mean, during these challenging times, I'm sure you guys have seen an increase in memberships at your locations.
It's a 50-50 right now. As
Okay.
you know, people have lost their jobs, and especially in Las Vegas, being a tourist town, a lot of people depend on the jobs on the strip, and the casinos, cutting back some of their hours has really played a big role. But needless to say, we are essential according to some people, a lot of our loyal members, and that we definitely are needed in their lives. And it's both now been therapeutic, both physically and emotionally. And I'm hearing more and more on the emotional side. And that is no surprise to me, but as mental health issues are coming up on the rise, it's a given fact that as humans, we need that connection.
We do. And you're right. I think a lot of people are being infected right now, in huge numbers. So I'm sure your team members have gotten a lot of feedback from people who have been coming in to, get their massage sessions done. What has your team been actually giving you input on?
It's funny that you bring that up because I have been making my rounds to my clinics to see how, our team members are getting along, what they're hearing out there with their members and guests. And the consensus has been that many of the stories they've shared with me has been very touching. So I'll share 2 with you thus far that has really touched me so much that the hair on my arm stood up. Most recently, and actually just this week, I found one therapist who shared with me that, she lost her mother due to COVID-19, and 2020 was a rough year for her. But to top it all off, she was going through an emotional hard time that she didn't know whether or not she could move on. Needless to say, she found her strength and came back to work full force. And one client in particular who she was able to massage was on her table. It happened to be a male nurse. And as you know, we did this really big program where we were able to donate some spa services to some nurses on the front lines. Well, one came in because of that effort, and he explained, when she was providing the massage, he started to cry. And she's like, "Am I hurting you? What's going on?" And he made mention to her that it's been a while since he's been touched. More importantly, it was being able to release the negativity that he has endured from watching people, in his profession pass away, or just the hardship of going into work every day to have, stay positive. And I think that has played a big factor in what we're dealing with right now. And then what's going to happen when we do get back to normal and we're not living this virtual life, lots of things to think about. Then a couple months ago, before we even opened, after we opened, I had an esthetician tell me that in 1 week alone, she experienced 3 elderly clients, women, who lost their husbands due to COVID, and that it took a while for them to come out of the home because, obviously age plays a big factor in them being susceptible to COVID, and also losing a loved one really played a role. So now they found themselves being widowed with no husbands and really no one to talk to. So when that esthetician told me that after they left there, before they left, they gave her a big hug and said, you were exactly what I needed. you were exactly what I needed to just release, to just communicate, to actually have that one-to-one, you know, with someone other than, you know, a family or family member over the phone. And just yesterday, again, I had another therapist in another location saying that moms that usually used to come in for just 1 hour session are now coming in for 2 hours because they, you know, are home all day long with the kids while the husband's, you know, out there, you know, working, that they needed a place to just get away.
Right.
So these are the types of stories that make me feel whole, knowing that our little place of business, being a small business owner, does play a role in society and has an impact on the way people are living their lives and how we connect as, you know, individuals to other people, and how important it is, especially in this day and age where, you know, mental health is playing a factor in everybody, you know, whether it be our children and, you know, our roles as in society with our jobs and, you know, being everything to everyone.
Yeah, those are great stories. Very touching.
Yeah, no, they're real. You know, you can only speak your truth, and getting this from the field out there, I commend my people day in, day out. You know, we are, sometimes I think we forget the role we play in society, but when you hear stories like that, it kind of puts it into perspective of, you know, how deep it really goes. And to be in a business where we provide, you know, health, wellness, and gratitude to, you know, our communities for supporting us and knowing that we're supporting them too.
Yeah, I know at the beginning of the shutdown, it's crazy how every conversation now involves COVID and pandemic. But at the very beginning, when you guys were shut down, I was like, wait a minute, how are they considered non-essential? Because I know I need to get my monthly massage. I couldn't wait till you guys reopened. So, and I was the first opening week, I think that weekend.
We were so busy.
You guys were booked. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That just was crazy. An overwhelming response from people saying, oh my gosh, can I book 2-3 months out? Because I suffer from migraine headaches. You know, my back has been killing me. I just miss my therapist. How are they? I miss my esthetician. Look at my face is getting broken out from all this mask wearing. You know, I've got acne now when I never had acne before. All kinds of stories that came out of this pandemic.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are back open because, I couldn't go another month. And that's my issue is I get headaches and migraines, you know, if I wait more than a month. And I love the fact that your staff, you guys are so friendly. I get that monthly call like, hey, Donna, you haven't come in here for a month. And I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right. It's time for my massage. No wonder I'm getting headaches. Just because, you know, especially right now, everyone's sitting behind the computer. Everything's so virtual now. You know, I come from the special events and real estate world, but when you're used to walking with clients, going through hotels, attending trade shows and events, and now everything is virtual, you're sitting behind a computer all the time.
It's stressful because it's slow paced now and you're so used to that.
And you have to remember to get up and stretch. And it's a lot of times you just get stuck behind the computer for 8 straight hours. So that's me. So thank you for your staff to, you know, remind me to get my monthly massages. Otherwise I'd be waking up every day with a headache going, why am I, you know, in pain? So.
Yeah, I have an amazing crew. You know, they are definitely my rock right now. And what they do, I could never do. So I commend my team for the hard work that they, you know, put in, day out, you know, from our managers handling all the, you know, calls that are coming in that are hard calls these days, you know, and people, like I said, are losing a loved one, they're losing their jobs, and you know, it's a stressful world. And we made it through 2020, but we still got to make it through daily.
I know.
You know, and that in and of itself can be very stressful. So yeah,
awesome.
It's a lot for someone to take on.
So as a local business owner, what advice would you give to other business owners in regards to offering support to their employees, especially during these trying times?
I think open communication and trying to connect with them. You know, you never know what's going on in your employees' lives. I remember when we first shut down, it was important for me, and keep this in mind, I have 200 plus employees, okay?
Wow.
They're team members to me, they're family. So, you know, I made the call to every single one of them to see what is going on, how are you doing, you know, and we had some select members from our team also do the same for our members because we didn't know what was going on with our members. So although we were shut down, we kept one employee at every location to check on, you know, all of our members, because a lot of our team members were worried about the elderly patients or clients that they saw,
Right.
because they knew that they were living at home by themselves. So I love the fact that they were more worried about what's going to happen to them. Can you check to see if they're okay? So that made me think, you know, we need to stay open. We need to like find out, you know, how we can help. From that spurred the idea of obviously helping out the frontline nurses. Little did we know when we did that, because we ended up contacting a lot of people. A lot of them happened to be nurses because they happened to be on the other end, also making sure that the elderly clients had their medication and groceries so that they didn't have to leave their homes. So that spurred the idea of, why don't we do something when we get back by asking our members to help us out and raise some, you know, services to give back to our frontline nurses. And that's exactly what we did. We raised over $140,000 and 1,200 plus services that were donated by way of the Filipino Nurses Association and us and our loyal community to give back to Las Vegas and Henderson. So, you know, all these ideas spur about because moments like this make you pivot to say, what can we do to help, you know, help out, you know? And I think every little act or good deed that we do does impact or make a difference in society. And so very proud of the work that we did and what came out of this, you know, pandemic in 2020. But, you know, it doesn't stop here. We got to keep on moving. We got to keep on saying, okay, what can we offer with what we have, you know? And right now, I think being a voice and giving of your time and giving of your resources is how we show up in our community. And I think that plays a big deal, you know, play a big role in society. And I think it does make a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I read, so you've been in a few publications, and I read recently somewhere that you did some recent charitable work. Aside from the nurses, what other kind of charitable work have you done?
I do like to get into matters that matter to me, the causes that matter to me. So my husband and my father were military vets. And so I got involved with US Vets, another Filipina lady who runs that organization. Her name is Shalimar Cabrera. Shout out to her. She runs US Vets for over, I think, 16 or 17 years now. She's been there. But we got involved with them, and we also raised, you know, services to provide for people within the US Vets that are obviously helping our vets get off the streets, and fellow veterans that are looking for jobs and just come through hard times and, you know, need to know that our community is also supporting them in ways. You know, we gave them 2,000 plus blankets to provide because US Vets provides housing for them. Housing, they provide food, they provide clothing, everything that they can need to get, you know, off the ground and get started in life. And we were happy to be a part of that. And then education. Being that I'm a mother and have 3 kids myself, I'm a big proponent on education and making sure that our kids in the next generation have the tools that they need to be successful. So we also like to collaborate and, you know, shed the light on other businesses that otherwise would not be able to, you know, have the light shine upon them. So being that, you know, I'm with a national brand such as Massage Envy, I was able to use our business as a platform to shed light on other businesses such as Socrates and Bright Star Books, which were local companies that are, you know, helping to, you know, educate our younger generation. So with Bright Star, it came the books, and I love those books because it's very colorful, very animated, and it has the reading comprehension at the end. And we also have Socrates, which is artificial intelligence, where, of course, virtual learning has been very prevalent in the year of 2020. So being able to make sure that our kids understand the math, language arts, and life skills, that all, and of course, they want it to be fun. So with Socrates, it was an artificial intelligence course that they could take from home, where the teacher, the parent, and the child can monitor their progress. And if the child decides to move, you know, or they move to a different state, that information, like a medical record, gets transferred there too. So they can really see, you know, because sometimes it gets lost in translation when you move from state to state, especially when you're a military child. that type of information gets lost. So I was really happy to be, involved in a project like that because it was our first time. And I thought for sure we could reach 12,000, reach our goal of getting 12,000 new books, because we wanted to give it to the teachers, because the teachers always have to come out of their pocket to give to the students. And it was a way for our community to get involved, business owners to get involved, to write a special message to the individual child, and also for the teachers to give something tangible to the child so that they would never forget them, but also letting them know that they care about them. And, they did a great job this year, in school. So that didn't happen, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Right.
One day soon, hopefully, our schools will reopen and we'll be able to give that to the children, in our local communities.
Nice.
And we still have over 3,000 books to still donate.
Oh, wow.
3,600 books yet to still deliver to our community. We gave 500 of it to the Chet Buchanan Toy Drive, which is the biggest annual toy drive here in Vegas. And so it was an honor to be able to give those as stocking stuffers to 500 kids.
That's a nice idea. I like that.
Yeah, awesome. It was just an idea. Yeah. All of these little things have started off as ideas. It was all local. It wasn't on a national level, but I think that's how the world works. It starts off with small, small act, and then hopefully bigger, and bigger and better things come along the way from it.
Very cool. And so prior to, I know you had another career prior to getting involved in Massage Envy businesses and other things. I read somewhere that you were in the pharmaceutical industry. So let's just talk about how you transitioned from the pharmaceutical side into health and wellness. Like, what made you decide to make that move?
My baby girl. It is the truth. Sometimes you're forced into situations to make, the best decisions for your family. And mine happened to be just that. And I'm sure there's many other stories like mine where sometimes you've got to do what's best for yourself and for your family. Right. Well, mine came because my daughter came along and I was sick of leaving her 1 week out of the month to go and do my job. And don't get me wrong, pharmaceuticals was a great job for me to start my career path. And I learned a lot along the way and made some great relationships. But, after almost 7 years of doing that, I felt that there was something in me that was pulling me to do something else. And little did I know that, when I was younger, I always knew I was going to be a businesswoman. My mom knew, my friends would tell me, Marissa, you used to sell kudos bars to me and your sticker collection back in grade school. And they talk about this. I'm still good friends with my girlfriends from back in the day.
That's awesome.
Second grade. They were my bridesmaids. They seen me from grade school to high school to marriage and kids and everything else. And when they sit and talk to you, you're like, man, I still remember the days when you used to sell pepperoni sticks and sell them for 50 cents and $1, and we'd buy your sticker collection from you because I had a piano teacher who gave free stickers to me. So I'd create books and sell them. And my mom used to always said, you're such a businesswoman. So she knew right then and there. And I always said I wanted to open a business, but I never knew what that business would be. So it actually kind of fell into my lap, and it was the best timing. And I think everything takes its course when it's supposed to. And that one kind of fell in my lap by accident because of the fact that on one day, one particular ride, and I'm sure everybody's probably heard the story, but it's my story. And my car AC broke down, and it was on a ride to Arizona because in pharmaceuticals, I was now covering 2 states, Nevada and Arizona. So on one particular ride, I actually was driving and my AC went out. And so when the AC went out, needless to say, it was a horrible ride to Arizona. So once I arrived there, I did not want to do any work. I said, you know what, I'm just going to sometimes, I always love this quote that's in our conference office at our headquarters, and it says, let what you do today be enough. Well, that day I wasn't doing anything after that ride. And so I made an executive decision that I was going to get a great meal and I was going to get a massage and I was going to call it a day and start the next day off strong. So that's exactly what I did. My cousin, I contacted her and said, hey, I need a great place to get a massage. Where can you recommend to me? And that is when she said, you need to try out this place called Massage Envy. It's only $29.99 for an hour massage. It's on the radio,
Nice.
it's on television. And I'm like, listen, I am willing to pay the price for a great massage. I don't want to go to a school. I want like a place where I just have my own room. I don't know why we are subject to thinking that the price dictates the value of the service. And back then, that was 16 years ago. Wow. That was the price for a massage, $29.95. Obviously, inflation and everything else plays a role in where we are today. However, that to me was the best massage I'd ever received in my life. And so knowing that my husband and I were coming back a week later to check on some rental property that we owned in Arizona, I booked him with my massage therapist because I thought she was super fantastic. And I ended up with someone else. And knowing that we were coming back a week later, on our ride there, I told my husband a little bit about it, not thinking anything more than, man, this would be great if we had one in Vegas, because I totally can sign up and really, take advantage of getting services for this cheap every month.
Right.
And so a week later rolls by, he gets this massage, I get mine. And what I thought wasn't going to be another wonderful massage ended up being super spectacular. So I was sold again. But at the top of the hour, here's a lobby full of people and, loving their service, loving their therapist. And at that time, we didn't have facial, so it was just strictly massage. So we ended up asking again, do you have one in Vegas? When are you guys going to open one up? Because it's like, a good food place. Hey, we should have one in Vegas, but never do you think about, spa services. So anyways, the owner happened to be there and she says, if you're interested, you should definitely contact this gentleman named Steve Cook, because he's the regional developer and he is absolutely going into Vegas, and you really need to contact him if you're interested. So I was interested in getting a membership, not interested
in becoming a business owner.
Yes. So it was my husband who actually took the pamphlet about franchise opportunities, and he was the brains behind the operation, and he said we could do it. So he said it, and then the mentor, I call him my mentor, regional developer at the time was Steve Cook, and he became my mentor along the way. I think it's so important when you connect with someone, when they want to take you under their wing and show you, which was part of the reason why we got involved and basically decided to become business owners, is because we were going into a partnership with someone who understood the business, because quite frankly, I had no business experience whatsoever. I knew nothing about how to run, a business. But I have faith, and faith, I think, gets you very far. So you can't see the road ahead, but what you can feel and know in your heart and soul is going to work out is far greater than your fear. And so I remember sitting with him and over lunch, and I'll tell you, I broke out in hives. I was so nervous because he wanted me to quit my job. And in pharmaceuticals, that's a cush job. They provide you with
a big step. Yeah.
Medical insurance. I mean, my husband was doing real estate at the time, and real estate, as you know, because you're in the real estate field, is whenever you get a paycheck and whenever it closes. It's not, you got a deal in place. Okay. But it could take 5 months to 3 months depending on the property, on how long it's going to close. So it was a big move, having 3 kids under the age of 10, taking this leap of faith, because he says, I don't want you to be an absentee owner. You got to have some skin in the game. I'm going to need you to quit your job. And I was making $13 an hour. And I was making, money on the side, for every membership I sold. But to me, that wasn't, I couldn't make it with 3 kids, mortgage payment, and everything else. So I really hustled. I was thinking in my mind, I've got to sell so many memberships to make, make it, and then wait 3 months to be able to get medical insurance. It was crazy, but these are the types of things that you look back upon and say, if I think back on everything I've ever done in life, 100% of the time I've survived it. And I would not be a testament today or a testimonial if I hadn't gone through that test. And so I think everything happens for a reason. And, You know, my path from being in pharmaceuticals helped me to develop skills to build relationships. And now,
Absolutely.
you know, in the business field, I can now go to schools, which I have done, you know,
Okay.
talk about, you know, business entrepreneurship and, you know, what it takes to succeed out there, and, you know, the ups and downs of being being a business owner
Right.
in society in this day and age, from 20 years ago almost to where it
Mm-hmm.
is now. You know, there are some things that change and there are some things that still remain the same. And I will always
That's
say
awesome.
what remains the same is always the people and the
Mm-hmm.
relationships that you have. You know, if you're all about the people, you know, your business will always grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes it is hard for it to keep that membership retention.
Hmm.
And you guys, I mean, your entire staff, whichever location it is, I mean, I've gone to a couple. They're always good, you know, about following up, calling you, reminding you about your monthly sessions, or you know how you liked your last one. So
Yes.
that's great that you guys connect with your members that way. It's a
We
good
try
way to,
our best. We definitely
yeah.
try our best. It's a, you living in Vegas is such a transient state. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people, you know, move in and move out, and
Right.
I've never experienced that so much than living here in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I've come from Seattle, Washington, hence go
I
Hawks.
can see for
Today's the
everyone,
playoffs. And
everyone listening.
so, yes, I'm
Yeah,
representing, you know, as I said, we don't forget where we came from. So
you have your Russell Wilson
representing.
jersey
I
on. I
am
love
a
that.
big fan, yes. And I know that they're going to do great today. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah,
So, we're
bummer our
fighting
Raiders
the
didn't
Rams
make
today.
it, but it's okay. We have next
Yes.
year.
Yes. So I will have to say this year has been very challenging
Hmm.
in the football world for sure. So commend the teams for their efforts, their valiant efforts,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, going through all the way this far. So to have my team being represented, I'm very like excited.
And you're originally from Seattle, correct?
Yes, originally from Seattle, Washington, but
Okay.
born in Heilbronn, Germany.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. So were your parents in the military?
My father. So
Okay.
my father is in the military. He served in the army, and my husband served in the army, and that's where he met my mother. She was a
Oh,
nurse.
very
Uh,
cool. Okay.
yeah, in a hospital there in Germany.
Okay.
So they kind of met that way, and that's how I was born.
And how long were you living in Seattle before you folks decided to move to Las Vegas?
A long time. So we moved
Okay.
here in 2001. So we've been here now
Oh,
in Vegas
wow.
for 21 years. Actually,
Wow.
probably longer than I lived in Seattle. Almost close to it. Almost close to it.
You're a Vegas native pretty much.
Yes, I'm a local vegan is what they call it nowadays.
Yeah.
But you know what? Vegas has been really good to us. I love Las
Hmm.
Vegas, you know, and now that we have sports teams with, you know, the Golden Knights, and,
Right.
you
It's even
know,
better.
yeah, Raiders, it gets more
Right.
exciting, you know, so really happy. And hopefully we'll get that soccer team too, because both of us share, you know, that our
Yes.
daughters also played soccer. So I'm really excited about that. And now we got women's NBA. So,
Hmm.
you know,
We're definitely growing. We've grown so much, even since I've been here. So yeah, I'm
yes.
excited.
And I'm an eternal optimist. You know, what we're going through right now, I think as when the dust settles and we're
Hmm.
able to get, you know, a cure for COVID, and everybody has their, you know, vaccine, that we'll be able to get out of this stronger and better than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So with your, I'm just curious to know, with your husband involved in the business operations as well,
Mhm.
my parents both owned a franchise when, like right after I graduated from high school, my brother and I, it was a hair salon. My brother and I went and got our license to cut hair. And I mean, they worked with each other every day and then came home and had to see each other every day. How do you and your husband find that work life and home life balance?
You know, the dynamic and how it works in our family is that when it was 20 years ago, I remember our kids were very young. And the reason why we took this leap of faith to do this was mainly for all of them, to be
Okay.
able to support them in every activity, be there for all their PTA meetings. And it was all about dividing and conquer, because having three kids, they
Right.
all have, you know, activities that they all want to be involved in. I remember one child had two sports teams, you know, that he was
Oh,
in:
wow.
flag football and a volleyball. And so he was playing
Okay.
two at one time. And then you have another one who's playing volleyball and another one who's into soccer. So it was really having a great, you know, partnership there at that time, and still
Hmm.
run the business. So we've always been very fortunate to have great leaders within our organization to, run with the business with us. And so that's why we call them also our family, because, we couldn't do what we do
Right.
without the extended family that we have in our Massage Envy network. And so Mario does more of the location sites, building the Massage Envies, all the computer and back end portion of it, construction wise. And I am the face of Massage Envy for our 7 locations. So I'm all about connecting with the people, doing marketing, recruitment, and really just establishing some strategic operations, to really run smoothly, and really communicate with our team members to find out what's working, what doesn't work. Let's try this. Let's do this, really just trying to be better than we were before, and really put some strategies in place to, streamline everything we're doing, especially when you scale from 1 to 2 to 6 to then now 7, and you still got another license to uphold. So it is challenging, but you roll with the punches. So
nice. So do your children ever think about getting involved in the family business as they get older?
It's funny that you bring that up. We always hope that one of them would have, taken on, the baton and pass the baton to them and they'll roll with it. But none of them has expressed interest. That's one of my daughters right now, Malia. Has expressed interest in running our business. So, my husband and I are big proponents on doing what you love. And I think that as long as they find their true passion and their true love, and they wake up, not making, it doesn't seem and feel like a job to them, that, that is going to be essentially what makes my husband and I happy, is that they fulfill their life's passion, because this may not be their passion. And I get that. And I don't want to force them into something that is not their calling. I only want them to do what it is that is their calling and that they want to do. And maybe, who knows, maybe later on, they say, I want to try it out, then now at least they can come to us and we can give them, words of wisdom, walk them through the process, because quite frankly, Mario and I never had that opportunity. We don't come from, parents who own businesses or knew people, in our family or friends network that own businesses that could, really give us sound advice. Right now, though, it's available readily everywhere on Google, Google everything and how to start.
So many resources.
Yeah. But there's nothing like someone taking you under their wing and showing you the ropes. And so I am very fortunate to be able to, use my business as a resource and my experiences by running these businesses for so long to be able to share with our next generation. And for, quite frankly, for anyone who really wants to know about, what's the journey of a business person like, I'm very fortunate to be able to offer that to the younger generation.
And you have a great story. Yeah.
You never think that, but when people want to listen, the funniest thing, I'm like, really? You want to hear my story?
Yeah. No, I love hearing everyone's stories. And that's part of why I decided to start this podcast. Everyone at first was like, are you going to focus on special events and, the event industry? Because that's the side I was on. But I said, no, I love business. It's something that I've always been intrigued by. I love hearing success stories, how people got started. And I mean, you may not be making, $100 million a year like others, but that would consider that to be successful. But I love hearing how people got started in their business ventures. So that's what the focus is on this podcast. And funny, going back to how you said you're just going to be willing to support your children in any of their passions. And even if they don't want to get into the family business, I was raised by parents who, my mom was a hairstylist, had her first salon in Palm Desert, California, did a lot of the golfers' hair, and then they decided to franchise out, or actually join the franchise. It was a Fantastic Sam's franchise, and they did really well, their first 5 years, and they were really hoping that my brother and I were going to take it over. And it definitely does challenge the family because, it wasn't my calling. I mean, my entire family wanted to do hair. My cousins do hair, and everyone in high school, when they found out that my family owned a franchise, they're like, oh, you're in the hair industry too. And I said, yeah, but it's really not what I want to do forever. And don't get me wrong, it was great. The relationships, that you make with your clients. My brother's an amazing barber. He still does it to this day. However, we let the franchise go. And he wanted to focus and, build his own brand. But it's hard for parents, especially, my parents coming from the Philippines and building their business. It's hard for them to hear that their children don't want to take over the family business and they have other plans and goals in life. So that was a struggle we had to deal with. And it's great that that you and your husband don't force that on your kids, because sometimes they may want to just do it just to make you happy, but it might not make them happy.
No, I think earlier on, Mario and I always talked about, as long as our kids are happy and, they're doing good in society and they're, contributing, we try to teach them the value of, making sure that whatever you are able to earn, you make sure to give back to your, community and to people that are in need or less fortunate than you are. And, I think for them, it's just about finding what it is. And as a millennial living in this day and age, it's really hard to keep up, especially with social media, as we discussed. For me, I don't post as much as, and I don't care about the likes on my, I like it for the creative aspect. I like it for, where I am in my journey and posting. It's more for me. It's more for me to see the journey I've took, and more to see how my kids have grown over the years and where they're at in their stage of life. And, they always say, don't take a picture of me, but then yet they're the first person to grab their phone just to see what they look like. Look at how chubby I was back in the day. And, I'm that Asian parent that are like, let's take a picture, and like while you're eating and shoving your face. And I'm like, again, Mom? I'm like,
that's me too.
You know what? Those are the things that you just can't take away or get back. And so for me, it's that journey of knowing that you gave everything you could give to your children and know that they're going to be taken care of and they'll be okay. And I have in my whole heart know that all my children will be okay and they will do the best that they can in life and they'll be successful, and whatever success means to them, whether it be monetary or fulfilling, what it is their calling is going to be. That to me is success, knowing you're happy doing what you love. And I love what I do right now. I love connecting with people. I love being a motivational speaker to motivate people to know that, you can do whatever your heart desires and there's nothing stopping you but you. So if I can just help one person, then I'm good with that. Social media to me, we can get wrapped up in it and forget about our own selves, that, we're all about the likes and how many people liked my comments and all this stuff.
Right.
At the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
What's most meaningful is living a meaningful life where you're giving back, where you've given back to your children, your parents, your husband, your parents, and the people who you're surrounded with. And for me, it's my team at Massage Envy. That's what's most meaningful for me, is being able to give my time and my love to all of them. Lead with love is what I've been using a lot more lately. My husband says, that's more you, not me. I was like, okay, fine. All right, I'll lead with love. I'm always like, I think, kindness goes a long way, for me. And, I'm more attracted to people, not so much their success, but what they're able to do with that success.
Right.
And people's lives, not just their own lives, but other people's lives. And that to me is very attractive.
So just curious to know what inspires you. I'm sure that just basically what you're talking about, just helping other people, is that kind of what gets you going in every day?
I am abundant because of, my drive to, help people and being generous, and just knowing that, someone can really have a bad day, but you could be that one person to change that person's day. And you just never know. I told you I made calls to all of our team members when we shut down, just to make sure they were doing okay. Well, one particular call, I remember one of our therapists lost his grandfather, and he says, wow, you called at a time where you just knew. I was like, I didn't know. I totally didn't know. But he was going through a rough time because his grandfather was his rock, and he was just losing it. And with no one to talk to, no one to turn to, it was really hard for him to express what he was going through. So through music and what he was doing at home, it was an outlet for him to
Mm-hmm.
express what his grandfather meant and the emotions that he was, going through from losing him, and not being able to, as you know, COVID not only plays a big role in being able to connect, to lose a loved one, but to connect with them when you
Right.
lost them, to hold their hand, to give them a hug, to see them bury, it was, already a tough year as it was, but with all those parameters that were put upon us to not be able to do what we'd normally do when someone is lost,
Mm-hmm.
that was a big factor too. And saying, I didn't even get to say goodbye.
That's so hard.
Whoa. I mean, that was deep. I was glad that I was able to make that call, but I was also sad that I wasn't able to be there to help him in more ways that I could have if we were able to do so,
Right.
not living in a COVID, environment.
Yeah, I've heard, people who have, been affected by COVID and have family members, even their children who are over 18 in the hospital, and they're not able to visit them because they don't allow visitors for anyone over 18, which is, it's tough for a lot of families right now.
Especially when you're super close to an
Yeah.
individual, and that's all you have. You know what I mean? I get it. I so get it. I had a front desk person lose her father, and they had just celebrated, I think it was his 80th or his 90th. It was the 80th birthday. It was a big pivotal one.
Right.
And then I think 5 days later, he passes away. And now the wife is widowed, and the daughter has to think about, he didn't get to come to my wedding, and we were supposed to celebrate, and a lot of weddings that didn't happen last year because of COVID. And he was supposed to be there to walk her down the aisle and wasn't able to do that because of COVID, because they had to cancel the wedding.
Right.
So, it's tough, and these are the life's challenges that all of us face. Unfortunately, no one said that life was going to be easy. And I guess this is part of, the process. But again, it's all how we react to it as well.
Right.
A lot of events going on in the world, like Tuesday's events that, bring an uproar in a lot of people. And
we just started the new year, and already
we just started the new year. And although, I don't really, I tread lightly on political views. I definitely, on matters of the heart, when it comes to right or wrong, I am very avid in making sure my voice is heard especially with my children and anyone in my family, to make sure that, hey, you got to know the difference.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting day. I'll definitely go down in the history books for sure.
We just never wanted our world to be known as something that could be as disastrous as that, not at all. So
I had to sit with my children too and explain what was going on. And it was an interesting day for everybody. I try not to get too involved in politics as well, but that was just something you couldn't avoid.
Not at all. Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. Speaking of children, so you have 3 beautiful children that you completely love and adore. And I know I do this with all of my guests. I give them a call before the show and get to know them on a personal level. You were talking to me on our call how you're also close to your children's significant others.
Yeah, I think your healthy relationships are so important. We all live in our own little bubble. We go to work, we go to church, we go to our favorite coffee spot, and we check in here and there with our loved ones to see what's going on. And, I think during the pandemic, we got the most time with our children, more than we would ever have. Because, especially you have teenagers, and I do too. You already know they always want to hang out with their buddies, and never do you get the time to sit at a dinner table and really, have that one-to-one time with them. And I really value that time. Irregardless if I have to cook or buy something, outdoors. But it is important, because I think what's made me the person I am today is having healthy relationships outside of, your people that you bore, like your children and all that, because when your children love someone, you try to find out, okay, well, what do they love about this person, and why does this person love that person back? You try to be an example to them and show them the love and kindness that you were shown. And I was very fortunate with my mother-in-law that I grew up, in high school, her accepting me on day one, and never was it a challenge. Most people have that type of challenge where for some reason, right off the bat, people don't get the benefit of the doubt to be their own unique person and just be able to love the person that they love. And I was really fortunate that my mother-in-law loved me from day one and never judged me and passed judgment, you know. And I think as a mother, you know, we sometimes do pass judgment, and that's obviously innate in us because, you know, we love our children so much that we want them to always make the right decisions. But shoot, I didn't make all the right decisions. So how can I pass judgment if I wasn't always so perfect? So I have to, you know, I have to think about those things too. So I think it's important for me to establish healthy relationships with, you know, whoever my kids bring into, you know, our home, and make sure that they're happy, because their happiness is my happiness. And so if they love someone, then I need to make sure I love them too, and figure out, you know, learn more about them. I think sometimes we don't take the time to understand, you know, how the person is feeling or what their background is, where they come from, know a little bit more about their families and stuff like that. And when you don't take the time, then how can you like pass judgment on someone, not really knowing who they are and where they come from?
Right. That's great. And I saw recently on Instagram, you did a photo shoot with the girls, right?
Yeah, it was a fun day. Yes, it was very much so fun day. A week prior to taking that picture, I had gone to a car show with my husband, and I kept seeing, you know, I love Vegas, but I love it even more for the arts. You know, in old downtown Las Vegas, we are surrounded by so many great artists in town that you don't really get the time to go down and check it out. And I had that opportunity due to, you know, just being there for a car show to look at my surroundings. And I said to a girlfriend, I'm like, you know what? That's a great backdrop, and a great backdrop for, you know, the new year, the writings on the wall. So that one that just talked about, you know, whatever is your passion, you know, I never knew what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I wanted to be a businesswoman, but what kind of businesswoman, right?
Right.
And as these girls are coming into their own, they're faced with so many challenges of trying to figure out, you know, what are they going to be? How are they going to be in society? And with everything that's going on with inclusion and diversion and everything, you know, that they're going to have to face, you know, in a real new world, these are the types of things that we need to make sure that we talk about, you know, with them, letting them know they can be whatever they want to be. And people are going to, I think I heard it best from Steve Harvey. He says, you know, you can be ordinary or you can be extraordinary. Now, if you can if you want to be ordinary, be ordinary. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's greatness in being simple. But if you want to, you know, be that extra in the ordinary, then do great things. You know, think big. Your imagination, as he said, that Albert Einstein said, your imagination is a preview to the coming attractions. And so for me, you know, I love that. You know what? There's a reason why it's put in your head and not everybody else's head. And they said, if you have a great idea, you can share it with people, but remember who you're sharing that idea with. Because if you're sharing it with someone who thinks small, don't think that they're going to give you the answer or the motivation that you need to get your imagination to be fulfilled. And he's right. You know, that's so true. You know, how many times, and I'll be honest with you, when I was coming upon this idea of opening Massage Envy, and I shared it with my parents, shared it with my girlfriends from pharmaceuticals, and other people, I didn't get the positive reaction that I was hoping for. So I was scared because, you know, I didn't get that, like, that feeling inside that I was getting, you know, supported by the people you love the most, or the ones you want to have support you the most.
Well, sometimes I do find that, like, the thing, whatever you're interested in, whether it's a new business venture, just anything, you know, that's you're taking close to heart. And when you share that with people closest to you, sometimes they are the most negative or the most critical. Yeah. There you go.
And they love, I hear that they love you and they want nothing but the best for you, but sometimes they don't realize that what they say can unfortunately affect you in different ways. Yeah. Even though you know that their intentions are good. And I know my girlfriends, I love them to death. We crack up about it all the time. And they're on LinkedIn and they're like, ha ha ha, I remember when we used to go on girls trips and how crazy we thought we were about opening a business and
now look at you.
Dharma. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we crack up all the time. And now they, you know, we
That's
joke
great.
about it. It's the funniest thing. And so sometimes you just never know what's going to pan out from it. But had I not made that decision then and there, I would not be here talking with you today. And I say, you want to share your ideas, but just be careful who you share your ideas with, because if you're sharing it with someone who thinks small, don't expect that they're going to give you the answer that you're wanting or the motivation you're needing. And so for me, I just want to be inspiring and motivating these young girls that come into my life, and make sure that they understand that sky's the limit. And through our failures, regardless, if it didn't pan out the way you were supposed to, hopefully you learned a lesson from it, because through every lesson is a blessing. And I think that through all of my hardships, I had another business called Face Logic, and it may not have been as successful. Yeah. But at the same token, I was able to learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
And take that leap of faith to know that, hey, it's another business that we can open up, so it's still there.
It's a good learning experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Every business venture is a good learning experience for you.
Yes.
I like that you see it that way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
you got to keep a positive mindset.
Absolutely. And you're so positive about everything. I mean, from the first time that I spoke with you, even now, and just the text messages that, we send, you're very positive, and I like that. And I believe that you should surround yourself with people, who can uplift you and support your ideas. So thank you for that.
And I think the girls appreciate that, because sometimes you get into, battles with your own parents that they don't see eye to eye, that it's nice to have an outside source that they can refer to, give them, the motivation they need for the day, or the motivation they need to, have the courage to, start a new venture. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I always ask all my guests this, and I want to know, what is a daily affirmation or quote that you actually like to start your day off with?
There's two that I really love. And the first one is, I am abundant.
I like that.
When I turned 40, that was on my backdrop, my wall.
Okay.
It was, I am me, I am abundant, I am grateful. And there was one other one that I did, but I still live through that motto every day. I'm so blessed. But I'm blessed not because of the monetary or any of that. I am blessed because of the people who love me. And I said that at my 40th as well too. I'm loved, and to be loved by people. My daughter brought a friend to the house the other day, last month, and she says, "Wow, you have so many Christmas cards." she says, she's like, "That's a lot. What are these for?" She's like, "Oh, just people just send us Christmas cards."
Yeah.
And she's like, "We hardly get any, like we don't."
Everything's so digital now. So for people to take time and actually write and send you a Christmas card, that's awesome. Yeah.
Right. And I'm still old school. I will send someone a letter or a card, and I will write in it. There's something so meaningful behind someone writing something, as opposed to it being typed or just sign your name to a card that
send an email. Yeah.
I really, really, I'm so old school. It's so touching for me. Like, I have a little treasure box that has things that people have written to me, from our team members at Massage Envy, or something that I was able to do to make someone feel good. And I live by a quote that Maya Angelou wrote. And, and I actually sent it to a girl, and I actually posted it this morning on Instagram, and I'll share it. It's one of my favorite quotes. And I normally have it memorized, but because I'm on set with you right now, I don't.
I just posted Maya Angelou quote yesterday. I love her.
Yes. And my girlfriend and I always talk about this, but I love this one, and I've seen it so many times, it must be mine. And so it's calling at me. It says, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." So I remember it was, what's his name? One of the famous actors, male actors. He basically said, "You can't take everything with you when you die, the tangible items, but you will take those feelings with you." And so that, to me, when I surround myself with people, it's people who can make me laugh, people who bring out the best in me. And if they can't bring out the best in me, at least I can bring out the best in them, because there are those types of people who just, no matter what you say or do, are going to remain negative, or just don't see the world the way you see it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay.
I like that. Awesome.
Yeah. It's crazy, but it's the truth. at
So
least my perspective.
speaking of a famous person that you heard that quote from, being in Las Vegas and living here with a lot of local celebrities that live here in town, you're such a normal, down to earth, humble human being that I'm sure a lot of times you would run into somebody that is famous and you would never know. Tell me about a time. I know you and I had this discussion. There was a time you actually were promoting, I think it was your book drive, or so, and you ran into
Yes,
a local
yes.
celebrity, had no idea who he was. I know the name, but I would never know him if I saw him in person either. So it's okay. Tell me about
All the
that.
ladies out there, you got to know this guy.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to one of my girlfriend's restaurants to support her. And
Okay.
it was a Mama Bird restaurant, and happens to be the same particular day, a gentleman comes in who happens to be very famous. And to me, I'll be honest with you, this is just me, you know, I really don't care too much about the celebrity,
Right.
unless I know a little bit more about the person. This gentleman I didn't know, but my girlfriends happened to know who it was. And we were sitting down and they were like, oh my gosh, can't believe he's here, and dee 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 da. And I'm like, okay. So anyways, I'm about to leave. I go into the bathroom and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for the
Right.
gusto. I'm going to ask this guy, now that I know a little bit about what these girls are talking about, if he would want to donate to our book drive, because I obviously got a goal in mind and I need to reach it, And so I go up to Dana. It's Dana White, actually.
Okay.
And I go, hey, Dana, my name is Marissa Hawkins. I am a local business owner and I'm working on a big project to raise some books for our local students. And, it's Nevada Reading Week. I was wondering if you would love to, help us in, reach our goal of getting 12,000 books in, 45 days. And he said, yeah. So he takes out this lot of money out of his pocket and basically gives me some money. And so now my girlfriends are excited. They're like, let's get this on video. And I'm like, okay, let's drop it. So what ends up happening is they nonchalantly pull out their phones and I quickly do a quick video with Dana White. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I'm excited, obviously, because now I've got money for our book drive and that's all I'm really caring about.
That's all that
But
matters.
yeah, that's all that matters. So we do this quick impromptu. And at the end of it all, because I'm showing this video now to all the guy friends of mine, because I'm thinking, wow, this is going to put me on another level of coolness because, he's the UFC big time guy, right? So anyways, at the end of it all the guys comment on is, how do you go and leave Dana White hanging? I'm like, what do you mean? So anyways, I said, content is really good. It's like, he's trying to give you daps at the end and you just leave him hanging. So what really happened was I was so excited about the cash that he gives me that he's trying to give me a dap and say, boom, wow, that's how we do it, right? And here I am, I get off out of my seat and I'm like, girls, look at the money I got for our book drive. So literally didn't have the opportunity to get back to him and say, hey, I owe you a redo. I think we should do this again, and you need to come back out of your pocket and let's definitely do this right for the kids and for the love of our Las Vegas community. But COVID hit, so hence I wasn't able to do that. But you know what? From the end of that all, I've known now that Dana White is a really great guy, and I'm really happy to know him because to me, at the end of the day, it isn't about your celebrity status. It's how big your heart is. And he is so kind that he doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know if I'm going to give that money to the book drive or to the children. But for him to actually just come out of his pocket and give to a charity that he knew nothing about, and just from the words I said, that to me was special. It was special and meaningful because, there are so many celebrities out there right now that, you don't know what their intentions are and, how good, their heart is. But that day made an impression on me and on Dana White. So thank you, Dana White. So
yeah, I've heard good things about him as well, and, in the community.
Yeah.
So, and you sent me that video just to take a look, and yeah, I agree with your guys. You kind of left him hanging, but you know what? It's okay. I probably would have done the same thing if I was in your shoes.
I apologize. I think I was excited, you know, obviously.
It was more the excitement. Yeah.
It was the excitement for the money for the books. Like
Right.
on that same day, it was a fantastic day because I had to call one of my girlfriends and let her know, guess what happened to me? Not only did I get a check from one of my good friends out of California, he works for Pacific Sunbelt Mortgage.
Okay.
He said, hey, Marissa, I want to help you in your cause. His name is Patrick Kabalski, and he gave me $1,000 check. Then I go straight into Mama Bird to go have a meal with my girlfriends. And on the same day, I get another big donation that was, you know, the unexpected. I swear, I really like pride myself on knowing that the unexpected really comes in so many ways. And that was truly unexpected. It was not planned. It was very nonchalant. But sometimes when you are doing things to help support, you know, other people, like I'm supporting you with your, you know, YouTube channel, then good things come your way. And all I cared about was raising money for these kids. And
it was going towards a great cause. So yeah.
It was. And that book, you know, with the Chet Buchanan toy drive, you can see it there. There's 500 books being donated. And we're going to do some really great things with the books that are, remnants of 2020 and what's left over. So definitely can't wait to see where that's going to go. Because now we've had to pivot in our decision-making skills.
Right.
Now what are we going to do? You know, and as many people, you know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Marissa, for joining me today. God, this was fun. I knew this was going to be a fun time with you, just because you and I got off, you know, on a great start. Just, you know, our first conversation. So, and thank you for responding to my Instagram message, because I was just scrolling down, checking out, you know, local business people, entrepreneurs, and I love the fact that you have been so involved in charity work. And I was like, I'm going to reach out and see if she'd be willing to be a guest on my podcast. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I'm so honored. I'm wishing you much light and success in everything that you do. And I'm very proud of you. You know, it takes a lot of leap of faith to, you know, start a new venture, and, you know, you just never know where it's going to take you. So really proud for you.
Well, I appreciate all the great messages, positive messages that you've, you know, said on the show today. So hopefully it helps one person. Like you said, if you can help one person, that's a huge win.
Just one. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for all that you're doing for yourself and for your family, and being a role model for your babies as well. Because, you know, you've got a lot. You're like a Jane of all trades.
I know. I'm trying to find my main passion, but this actually has been something I've been passionate about for a couple of years, and just haven't had the opportunity to get it launched because, you know, pre-COVID, life was just so busy. And so during COVID
also brought a blessing for a lot of people. You're one of them.
Absolutely.
You got to sit down and learn a skill that, quite frankly, I don't have the time for that. I'm like, can you teach me, kind of thing? There's just no way. There's too much to learn and know about social media that, you know, I'll pay the experts to do it. Quite frankly.
No, I don't blame you. I don't have the funds to pay the experts, but I have teenagers that say, Mom, you've got to step up your game if you want to, you know, compete. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I do get a lot of feedback from them. Not always good feedback. And I always have to tell them, like, look, I'm not always trying to attract your crowd, your generation. You know, I have a different generation I'm trying to attract. So that's where we have to compromise. And then they're like, okay, let's try this. So yeah, it's, you know, it's a huge learning experience. And I'm grateful for having, you know, guests and friends like you to help me on this journey. So thank you again.
You're so welcome. And when this is all said and done, I can't wait to just connect, really connect, not have to be so virtual all the time.
Absolutely. So, well, you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and you know,
go Hawks.
Good luck to your Seahawks. Absolutely. All right, Marissa, have a good day, and we will chat again soon.
Definitely. Thank you, Donna. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.